10 years of AWE. It's been a long journey. My first AWE, I was reflecting back on it when I was flying up from San Diego, was actually in 2012. I had just joined in April the Vuforia team, which, as Paul said, was at Qualcomm at the time. And in 2012, this conference looked a lot different. There was a lot fewer attendees. A lot of the same faces are still here today, so it's always a great reunion. But at Vuforia at the time, we were focused on a different set of problems. We were building a developer toolkit. We were building out the Vuforia engine, and we were worried about how we could empower the development community to create AR experiences and catalogs on movie posters, in some cases on the boxes of toys. And we were advancing the technology of the time, and we were constrained by the technology, the devices at that point in time. Mobile devices weren't what they are today. And in 2015, PTC picked up the Vuforia business really with a new eye to take all that great technology and continue to develop it for developers, but also to harden it for the industrial enterprise. And so we looked at all of the other great products, businesses at PTC. We have an industry-leading CAD, PLM, and IoT business. And we looked at the entire pipeline, how we could create a digital thread that runs from product design and inception all the way through delivery and AR, and how we could take advantage of all of the different things that we knew and learned in those other businesses to really take industrial AR to the next level. And so today, I'm going to go one level a little bit deeper than our CEO did just this morning in the keynote. He stayed pretty high level, talked about a lot of use cases, talked about the technology needed to drive those. I'm going to talk a little bit about how some companies are creating value with AR today, how we're helping to accelerate them, and then we're gonna get a little bit into some of the new products that we're releasing at PTC and how that helps to do so. So before we go deep, at this level, it's important to understand three macro trends that are really impacting all of the industrial enterprises that we're working with. First of all, the worker shortage, the shortage of skilled workers to work in the factories. This is the whole phenomenon with baby boomers retiring. I'm sure everyone here has heard about this once or twice, but it's a real problem. They're facing pressures to drive costs down, and they're being disrupted digitally. A lot of the companies we work with are in pursuit of a digital strategy and are being driven to do this every day. So Deloitte published a great study that addressed some of these key points. Some interesting stats to take away from this study was that over the next decade, there will be more than 2.4 million positions that are on track to go unfilled that will cause a $2.5 trillion GDP gap in manufacturing. So it's a big problem, but it's also a big opportunity. And so baby boomers retiring is one thing causing an issue. In fact, we heard from a customer of ours that even today, over 30% of their workforce is eligible to retire, and they're in panic mode. If they can't capture this expertise, then it's going to walk out the door. So they're looking for any type of technology that can help them do that, and AR is a great candidate. And then these skilled positions aren't easy to fill. You can't just bring in any young new graduate and convince them to take these manufacturing jobs. These are digital natives who grew up with iPhones, iPads, Android phones, in some cases even eyewear, and they're looking to use those skills, use those tools in the workplace. Augmented reality is a great way to bring them in and get them excited to work at these companies. So PTC is about the digital transformation of people. That's what we're doing with augmented reality. And you can break it down into three key issues that we're solving, three key drivers. Increasing productivity through the use of AR. You can imagine this one, seeing instructions that help you be more productive, learn how to fix something. Reducing waste, reducing scrap, getting things right the first time so that you don't have to go back and do them again. Obviously, a lot of money to be saved there. And then improvements to the safety and compliance, following standard operating procedures, so that companies can stay compliant. A couple examples here of those points. So increasing productivity. This is a shot of a company called Howden. They make these large industrial air and gas blowers. Might be in a water treatment facility. And they're using augmented reality so that their workers can understand how to troubleshoot, solve, and work with these huge air and gas blowers. Global Foundries, it's one of the world's largest silicon manufacturers, have very important procedures that need to be followed in order to get something right the first time. And if they make a mistake in the fabrication process here, with the chemicals that they're using to actually apply, that can lead to over a $5 million waste and probably the loss of a couple jobs. And we worked with a large auto manufacturer in Japan who had a safety issue recently where they had a worker on the line who needed an answer to a critical question, something that would have cost a lot of money had it gone unsolved. And unfortunately, they were unable to get a hold of the expert that had their answer. And because of that, it actually resulted in a death on the factory floor. And this auto manufacturer is now working with us using our remote assistance product, Vuforia Chalk, to make sure that their manufacturing workforce can stay connected with the relevant experts at any point in time. So those are a few specific examples. If you look all the way across the value chain, augmented reality can be applied to solve all kinds of problems. And if you attended the keynote, you heard Jim go into detail on some of these. But the point I'd like to make is that you can look all the way along the value chain. There's a thread that can really connect these, that can bring that product data through the entire value chain so that AR can be used in an engineering or design scenario, or that AR can be used in a sales and marketing capacity as a virtual toolkit that a sales rep can take to a customer. Or in the supply chain, manufacturing cases, how to build something, how to fix something. For customers on site during their operations to use themselves, or in a support capacity. So you can really find a use case all the way along the life of a product, and it's very, very important that the information that you're displaying in AR is kept accurate. So what does value look like for a customer? Here's a generic example of a customer that we have in the manufacturing case. It's a framework for thinking about it. How much value can they drive if they were to adopt AR in their businesses? So first, what are their business goals? Well, increasing worker productivity in this case. You can see this is for a training use case. To decrease rework, get people trained properly so they get it right the first time, and to reduce the travel costs across the board. So travel can be expensive if you're getting people together to do it in person. And so what does their state look like today? What is their best practice in advance of adopting AR? Well, in-person classroom training, experts traveling to customers on site, and then repeat visits when it doesn't get right the first time. You can see this particular customer, over 154,000 maintenance visits and 400,000 hours traveling for maintenance. What kind of value can be created? Here you can see the gains: faster training time, less rework, less travel. And then that's something you can quantify, right? Because we have numbers. We know what percentage we know how much we spend, what percentage we can save. You can easily get to a number. In this case, for this particular use case at this one customer site, it was over $19 million in savings per year. So the opportunity is there. There's really a huge amount of value to be driven. It's about helping to identify where it can be done, and then, of course, delivering the products that can extract the value. So how do we do that? What are our products that are in the market today? I'm going to dive into each of these. The first one, which probably folks who've been to the conference for a number of years are going to be familiar with, is the Vuforia Engine. That's a product for a software developer to use to build a custom application, say a sales and marketing use case, for example. We have a lot of stuff that's happening in an app. We have Vuforia Studio. This is our enterprise AR authoring platform. So this is for businesses to take their 3D data, connect it through IoT, and then display content in the real world. Chalk for remote assistance, the auto manufacturer that I spoke about. Get an expert, reach out to them anywhere in the world so they can share their expertise with AR. and something new, Vuforia Expert Capture, which is the easiest way for a frontline worker who's an expert, to take their knowledge and communicate it through AR. The Vuforia engine, it's the product that's been around the longest. It's the market leader as far as AR SDKs go. It's something that we've been building on for 8, 9, 10 years now. And we see a range of different use cases. You can build just about anything you can imagine in augmented reality. We have over 600,000 developers that are registered and use Vuforia, and over 60,000 apps that have been published to Apple's App Store or Google Play. Vuforia can do a lot of things. It can see a lot of things. One of our most popular recent features is called model targets. That's a feature where you can recognize an object and align AR content on top of it based on the shape or the geometry or a CAD file that exists to design that product in the first place. This is a technology that we've been advancing year over year. And right now, in an early access capacity and going commercial next month, we actually have the ability to recognize an object. In this case, it's a saw. It could be an automobile, it could be a machine in a factory. You can recognize it from all sides. So we can get rid of that alignment step that needs to happen up front, allowing developers to build applications that can just see the world. That's one of the guiding principles for the Vuforia engine, to be able to recognize everything. Studio, as I mentioned, really shines when you need to connect IoT data or PLM-managed 3D data and display it in the real world. So it is a suite that launched a couple of years ago, and we've had thousands of different businesses adopt and use. Here's a shot of an experience that's created in Studio. This is on an iPad and a packaging machine. So you see a scan of a barcode and then an alignment step here for the model target, where you can actually start an AR experience on top of this. It's a Magna Motion machine. It's a packaging verification machine from a partner of PTC's called Rockwell Automation. Here it's displaying some connected data for the operation of the machine. Here it's displaying some safety data, telling the operator where to stand and what the different zones do, what's okay to touch or not to touch. And then here it's highlighting a service case. So you can see a warning that's popped up. That's connected machine again. So this is a live warning that the operator is going to need to address in this video. Here a prompt to confirm certification, to confirm this is an operator that's actually authorized to make the repair. And then it's going to go into a series of steps that highlight just how to fix this machine. This is a demo that we'll be showing on the show floor. So if you're interested, you can come by and see that on Thursday and Friday. So how is that experience authored? This isn't a one-off experience or a one-off application, I should say. This is an experience that was authored in Studio, which is an authoring suite that is designed for scalability and ease of use. Here you can see the drag and drop nature of the tool, and select a 3D model, place it in the authoring environment, and then we're going to assign the model target. Where do we want to see this thing from? Where's the operator going to be standing? And then we're going to go through and we're going to be able to actually bind some of the IoT data so that we get live sensor readings. And we can go through and we can add animations from pre-existing library here or new assets that you may have. But it's all drag and drop. Coding is not required in Studio. You can peek under the hood if you're a power user and you'd like to do so. Chalk, so the remote assistance tool, designed for ease of use. Chalk was something that we actually launched at the show here 2 years ago. And then last year really brought to the next level for enterprise use with a suite of capabilities for large enterprises to manage all of their users and their content that's authored in Chalk. So you can think about Vuforia Studio as pre-authored 3D content, and Vuforia Chalk is serving a reactive need. So I'm not proactively authoring content, I'm reactively getting support when a problem arises from another human being. It's another important part of the content authoring story. Here's a shot of what it looks like, on that same machine, and again, a demo you can see at the show. But very easy interface on an iPad again in this case, where you can initialize a call, and then you're going to be able to actually draw with your finger on the screen so that you can provide instructions. There's audio here. It's an audio-video stream as well as AR content. So this can be used in conjunction with Studio. If you have pre-authored content that's displayed in Experience, you can also come back to ad hoc or reactive content like this that's provided by another user. All very seamless, point and click. It's one of the early or easiest ways for an enterprise to adopt augmented reality and see value immediately. And this was one of the enterprises that did just that. As we were running last year our early access program for the business functionality, this is Bharat Forge. They're based out of India. They're one of the world's largest metal forges, and they had a case where they actually needed to connect their maybe less trained employees that are operating the forges with the one or two experts that work in an environment like this. Really heavy industrial environment here. There's fire and robots and all kinds of cool things. But it's very dangerous as well. And so some are trained on the safety procedures and able to restart the line when it goes down, and others aren't. And so they have used and have adopted Chalk to connect the experts that aren't always in the facilities with the line operator, so that when one of these machines goes down, there's not tens of thousands of lost dollars or missed opportunity. They can reduce their downtime, connect remotely. I think in the first week after adopting the technology, there was a case where a line went down. The authorized repair person was not there. They were at home sleeping. Within 15 minutes, there was a remote diagnosis that happened, and the remote expert was able to help the operator in person get the line up and running 15 minutes instead of what previously would have been 8 hours. Their CIO here, very, very bullish on the opportunity for remote assistance and interested in other AR use cases as well. So something new. This month, a couple of weeks ago, we launched a new product we call Vuforia Expert Capture. Again, it's going to be at the PTC Vuforia booth for you to come try and check out and see firsthand. But I just talked about content that's authored from CAD, from 3D models, and then content that's reactive, that's authored from another person somewhere else in the world. This is a way for an expert, for a frontline worker, to quickly and easily capture their own knowledge so that it can be played back in AR. And I'll show you how that works. We're addressing the same issues I talked about, the skills gap. We're addressing the need for complex products that are in complex environments to be operated by new employees and more workers. And then it also addresses a demand for immediate resolution. We talk to customers and they are interested, or I guess they're not interested in having their machines go down for long. They're interested in with the use of all the technology, all these connected devices, getting repairs done as quickly as possible. The promise of expert capture here, the benefits of using the technology, accelerate the creation of your content, create content as a person, simply get it to others so they can learn and become an expert themselves, take advantage of spatial data so that instructions are displayed in the right location, and then effortlessly scale it up to others in your organization as they're onboarded. I'm going to dive into a short video here that highlights expert capture.
Industrial manufacturers are expected to face millions of unfilled jobs in the next decade. Their ability to leverage existing resources and improve productivity has never been more important. Now is the time to evolve how workers access and learn critical information, to reduce scrap, rework, and training costs, and save manufacturers tens of millions of dollars a year. That's why we've created Vuforia Expert Capture. It's the fastest, easiest way to create powerful step-by-step instructions that help frontline workers get their jobs done quickly and accurately. Knowledge is easily recorded without the need for existing assets or causing disruption to high-value workers, and used to create step-by-step instructions highlighting safety precautions and relevant locations. Content is easily fine-tuned, published, and managed through a secure SaaS-based environment and automatically optimized for viewing on Microsoft HoloLens, RealWear HMT1, and mobile devices. Augmented instructions are easily accessed by new or reassigned workers, increasing efficiency, accuracy, and safety. New skills are learned on the job, cutting training time and costs. Safety warnings are presented at the moment they're relevant, reducing the risk of injury. Workers follow location markers to successfully complete the required steps. Each step of the procedure can be documented
All right, so what did we see there? How did that work? Break it down, try and keep it simple. There was really 3 phases to using expert capture, to transferring the knowledge from one employee to another. The first is to capture it from the expert. You capture that by putting on a digital eyewear device. This could be a RealWear HMT1 or a Microsoft HoloLens, assisted reality or a full AR experience. You can take videos, photos, as a worker doing your job with your hands. Second step is to edit it or augment it with additional information. So web-based platform here, Microsoft Azure backend. You can drag the capture file, you plug it into your computer literally and upload it to the cloud. All your steps that your expert captured are going to be displayed there. And then you can disseminate it to all of the rest of your workforce. So if they're on a digital eyewear device, they can use that. Or if they're on a mobile device, they can do that as well. Here's a shot of the capture process. So this is an assembly of the same MagnaMotion machine that I've been speaking about. This is a Rockwell Automation engineer who's installing the machine. This is actually at a trade show that we did in April. And he didn't have a standard installation procedure for the MagnaMotion machine. It didn't exist. It's in his head. And so he saw what we're doing here and said, I would love to use this product to actually create this procedure so that I can give this to someone else and they can put it together and I don't have to fly all over the world to do this. And so what you see here is him. He's wearing a RealWear device. This is what he would see as he's going through the installation procedure. He's using his voice, next step, take photo, saying things like that to document the procedure. You can see this is sped up, but he's working at normal speed. He can just go and follow the instructions he needs how to do. He can create a standard operating procedure as quickly as he can put this thing together. It took him a matter of minutes to learn the interface and become effective with the tool. If you were wearing a HoloLens, because this is a device that understands its environment or its location, it has a spatial capability, then those steps that are authored are tied to a physical location in the world. We have a spatial map, so those steps will appear as you approach that part of the machine. The authoring step here, you can see, think video editing, authoring interface, pretty standard interface that hopefully everyone should be familiar with. But you can see a preview panel up top, all the steps that are parsed out from that capture. You can trim, crop. You could bring in a document or an image that you might have from an existing standard operating procedure if you want to supplement something that's created here so that it too can be played in AR. And then you pick where you want to play it back. You can capture one procedure and have it work everywhere. But if you have employees that have a HoloLens, or if it's perhaps a more active environment that they're using RealWear devices, or maybe all your employees are carrying tablets, that same procedure can be played back across all the different mediums. And what you can also do is you can export all those procedures in a digital format in Microsoft Word so that they can be validated for compliance, checked into other systems, things like that. Now, when you give it to a new employee, this is what they'll see if they're wearing a RealWear device for the same MagnaMotion procedure. They're going to put it on, and you can see the picture in the bottom of the screen, and then you have a little window here where you can read the text that's part of the procedure, and you can see preview images or preview videos for all of the steps that have been documented. This person can use their voice to dig in deeper, say, open, full screen. They can skip from different steps and navigate very easily. Gets real interesting if you're on a HoloLens and you're in playback, because then we can tell you, then the user can be told where to go. So you can see a trail here leading this particular user to the back of the machine where step 3 needs to be prepared. And it's not until that user gets to that point that they can actually see the content that's supposed to be displayed there. So it's a way to use your location in the physical world and the spatial capabilities here to actually make sure that the user is getting the right instructions at the right time. So that was the same procedure. That was a procedure that was authored once and then played back on different devices. This is interesting to our customers for a variety of cases, but it's particularly interesting when there are not pre-existing instructional assets for them to work from. All they have is the knowledge in their workers' heads, and these workers perhaps may be retiring soon, when they may be poor quality or incomplete and they need to be augmented. When 3D data or CAD data doesn't exist for these machines because they weren't the original manufacturer of the machine. They're not the OEM with the CAD data in this place. They may just know the machines and how to operate them as they exist in their factory. Certainly highly regulated industries are a big focal point here, where there might be entire procedures or families of procedures that have gone undocumented and need to be. This is the results, the expected results here. So an improvement, an increase in workforce productivity, lower downtime because you're going to have the procedures for getting a machine back up and running, documented as soon as it goes wrong, and then the next time you're going to be prepared there. And then improvements to safety and compliance. One of our first customers that we've been working with as the product was in beta was Global Foundries. And they've deployed, they're in production with expert capture, and they've seen some phenomenal results here. Over a 50% reduction in training time for new onboarding of a new employee because they can use these procedures, and 10 times faster documentation of the standard operating procedures. So this is I think, a testament to the approach that is taken there. I think I'm going to stop there, and I can take questions. You can also, if you would like to reach out to me over email, you can find me right there.